Hello and welcome to Woodshed Reviews, where we look at films old and new, good and bad. On today's show, it's the 50th anniversary of the all-time classic, Jaws, and we're here to review it.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
We've seen this film a couple
50
of times.
50 times.
50 times.
At least.
Possibly. Certainly a film I've seen quite a lot of times. And it's no stranger to our wall here. It's Pride of Place.
Yep.
And I think rightly so.
I watched this again the other night and I still love it. Lightning in a bottle type of film, isn't it? So many factors at play and somehow they made a gem of a movie out of it.
Yeah, what do we need to introduce Jaws, the film?
Just go straight to ratings.
What are we going to rate the film Jaws? Small island of Amity, a killer shark is rearing its head to scare off the tourists.
It's a serial killer shark. Very hungry shark.
Yeah.
He should have just eaten Chrissy at the start and then gone away for a week, but no, he's stuck about. And
where the feeding was good. Yeah, and so we have a series of kind of victims, and it's all about the town coming to realise this, how they're dealing with it, mostly through the eyes of the local sheriff, played by Roy Scheider.
And we've got the mayor who wants to keep the beaches open. And
classic confrontation.
Yeah.
I can't watch that now without thinking about Boris Johnson when he was asked, who's your favourite movie character or that you aspire to, and he said, the mayor from Jaws.
Really?
Yeah.
That probably explains a lot.
It probably does explain a lot.
Please don't be like the mayor in Jaws.
Never compare me to the Jaws mayor. Never!
Our sheriff is joined by Richard Dreyfuss's oceanographer, Hooper.
Yeah, they're all gonna die.
Last but not least,
Robert Shaw.
that's Quint.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
What a character.
Yeah, amazing sort of like the casting of this stuff, and it just feels like such real people. You believe that they have inhabited these characters.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing, the way it's shot, the colours, it feels very real. You feel like you can step into it. Just really feel the atmosphere. It's amazing.
I think, it's one of those films where I really feel a sense of time and place. You really feel like you're on this island and you get to know, the more you watch it as well, the background characters and stuff like that, that kind of like populate this place and just give it a lot of character. The fact it was filmed on location in Martha's Vineyard. And the fact that they filmed it on the wide open seas, which was a first, certainly for a film of this size and scope,
Yeah, and I mean that's really challenging, especially for that time, and led to all sorts of problems with the shark. Because the shark, you're supposed to see the shark in the opening scene,
Right.
straight away, but because it wasn't working half the time.
So wherever you were on the island, you could hear the radio mics. And they were always saying, the shark is not working, the shark is not working, repeat, the shark is not working.
I don't even think, I think they'd started filming and it wasn't even ready, so they were like, that's where things like the yellow barrels kind of came into it. They were doing this stuff. Apparently this stuff wasn't in the script.
Time! What were you doing? You knew I had to get a clean shot right in the head.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're writing the script as they went as well. I mean, obviously they had a framework, but even the actors had a big impact on the script. And I think the line, "You're going to need a bigger boat," that was...
Yeah, I think that's been attributed to Roy Scheider.
Yeah. So there's a lot of bits like that make for fascinating reading.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
like even the background characters, I was saying like Ben Gardner character, the guy who's going out in a boat, he turns up, his head turns up later on in the film. He does this speech about their mothers all wish they hadn't met their fathers and something like that anyway.
When we get them silly bastards down in that rock pile, there'll be some fun. They'll wish their fathers had never met their mothers when they start taking their bottoms out and slamming into them rocks, boy.
You know, he was just ad-libbing that as they were sort of going and stuff, you know.
Okay.
So all little moments like that just kind of really make it feel like a real place and a real time over this holiday weekend, you know.
Yeah, and it's a lot of kind of tragic scenes, like the little boy that gets killed early on, and the scene with the mother. It's really heartbreaking stuff.
That traumatized me as a kid. It's that moment, I don't know, it's like the bit, you see a couple of scenes where you see you're not even really sure what you're looking at, but you see something kind of flipping over, like it's maybe a fin or something like that. And then it cuts back, and then you see the kid kind of like the water's bubbling, there's red, and then you get that obviously the classic Jaws shot on Roy Scheider, which is a sort of
dolly zoom.
Dolly zoom, or yeah, which was used, I think, firstly in Vertigo, I think was it?
Oh yeah.
But I think it's more impactful, not to take anything away from that shot, but I think by using an actual face and a skyline and stuff like that, it's all the more kind of impactful, I think, you know, this thing.
Yeah, especially for his character as well, that kind of realization, you know.
I think as well, you were kind of watching it, especially like I remember watching it as a kid, I was like, did I just see that, you know, with a little kid, you know, like, man, you just know that it's just probably wouldn't do that like nowadays, you know, but it is, it really ups the ante as well, I think, and really makes you think, well, nobody's safe here, you know. And a brave decision to sort of to go with that, but memorable, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you got your three guys to go out into the open sea to catch the shark.
So this is the last sort of 40, 50 minutes of the film, and it's just them on a boat. It's just amazing.
It's just amazing interplay between them all, and I think there was quite a lot of tension between Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss.
For real?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes across. I think Robert Shaw was good at winding them up, and he was drunk quite a few times. And,
oh, yeah, okay. So he was well cast then.
Yeah.
But I think even the characters, the way that they're written with like the Roy Scheiders, kind of stuck in the middle of these two guys, you know, they're both experts in their fields and in the ocean stuff, but from very different schools, you know. And he's kind of trying to, you know, I love that line when he's winding up Richard Dreyfuss at the start, and Roy Scheider's like, "You're not going to do this all the time in the boat, are you?" And he's like, "Yep," he definitely is.
You got city hands, Mr. Hooper. Been counting money all your life.
All right. Hey, I don't need this. I don't need this working class hero crap.
You're not going to do this aboard the ship, are you, Mr. Quint?
Maybe I should go alone.
They never spell it out, but you can just see Quint kind of realising as it goes on that he's bitten off more than he can chew, but he's just not going to back down. He's not going to accept help. He's not going to face reality.
Yeah, and it's a big issue for him as well, because we obviously got that classic speech.
Yeah.
Just one of the all-time greatest scenes, maybe one of the best scenes, if not the best scene in the film. It's just the three of them at night time, swapping war stories, and we go into this deep story from Quint about Indianapolis during World War II.
So 1,100 men went in the war. 316 men come out. The Sharks took the rest June the 29th, 1945. Anyway, we delivered the bomb.
And so it gives it more impetus for Quint's frame of mind, I suppose.
Yeah.
He's not going to back down from this, even though he really should, and you know, to the point that he smashes up the radio when Roy Scheider realizes, like, you know, when he's like, yeah, we're going to need a bigger boat, basically. We need help.
Coast Guard, this is the Ark, or do you...
Excuse me, Chief.
That's great! That's just great! Now where the hell are we, huh?
No, he's not going back.
No.
It's him and the shark.
Yeah.
But do you think this is a continuation for him? He survived, obviously, in World War II. But maybe the shark's after him because he was involved in, you know,
You're getting very...
in the atomic bomb.
Yeah, okay, right. It sounded like
So maybe it's kind of like Jaws, the Revenge.
Jaws the Revenge. Yeah, you're sounding a bit Jaws the Revenge there.
Man's deepest fear has risen again. Jaws, the Revenge. This time, it's personal.
Yeah, we could give it a little backstory.
He's the only one out of the three of them that dies.
Yep, that's true.
So the shark got his way, got his revenge.
Brilliant, you've got it. Yeah, that's the remake there, is it? Or Jaws 5, Quint's Revenge? I don't know.
No, he's dead now, you can't get revenge.
No, you can't get revenge, can you? But yeah, that is different from the book though, because Hooper does die in the book.
And Hoover was meant to die in the film, but they filmed the shark cage scene and they got this amazing footage of the shark thrashing about the cage.
But no, he wasn't in the cage.
He wasn't in the cage, but they wanted to use the footage.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, maybe he swam off. And
it's a difficult one because I think in the book he dies, and he also has an affair with Brody's wife.
Yeah.
He's on land for like a day, and they're at it like for
Right.
For a few days. So there's some great stuff in the book where Brody's kind of putting two and two together.
Oh right, that would have been interesting on the boat.
Yeah, they're on the boat when it's happening, and he's kind of like starting in his mind, and he doesn't quite get there, but he's really suspicious.
Okay.
So when Hooper dies, he's a bit like, yeah.
Oh no! Anyway, last week...
So that would have been harsh for him to die. It would have upped the ante, upped the stakes.
Yeah,
But then you've got a bit of a downer ending.
Yeah, because the three characters are so likeable, it would have been a shame to
lose two of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one, but I think they kind of just made the right decision there, and by what you're saying, it was like it wasn't even planned, so which probably a lot of this film, it seems to be, if you watch, some great documentaries about it, the shark is still working and whatnot, are worth watching, for sure. It's definitely one of those films where it's a fascinating look behind the scenes.
And then one day, you heard this. The shark is working. Repeat, the shark is working.
The shark worked well enough that we, for a while there, had the biggest hit of all time. So I really owe the shark a lot more than I want to take away from it right now.
There's only one shot that sticks out for me is, the chap on the boat that gets attacked by the shark. And there's this kind of point of view shot of the shark, but it's kind of like floating above the water, drifting past the kid.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very odd. But I think that's because they cut out stuff from that scene, whether it didn't work or didn't go as planned or something. I think that's supposed to be a lot more bloody, and it's probably the guy's point of view from the shark's mouth.
Because it's in the shark's mouth at one point. There's some footage of that, isn't there?
And I was in this little bucket seat strapped into it, and the shark fin was behind me on a sled. I had the kid in my arms, and I was going to take him underwater, and then I let him go, and then the sled went underwater.
Obviously, we need also the music by John Williams. I think that's a huge part about it as well.
It is. It's the simplicity of it, I think, especially in the main theme. It does go a bit E.T. at times.
Yeah, towards the sort of more upbeat motif is a little bit. I do confuse that with E.T. sometimes, if I'm honest with you, despite having seen both films a number of times. But he's that happens obviously with any musician. You're going to get some repetition and stuff.
Don't. Don't. That song gives me the creeps.
What do you mean? It's our theme song.
It's the Granddaddy as well, and changed not just the film itself, but also the way it kind of like brought in the summer popcorn blockbuster sort of experience. For better or worse.
Yeah.
We can't blame Jaws for it though, because it certainly would not hold up as a blockbuster film these days, because it doesn't feel like that to me.
Mm.
I'm sure in 1975 it
Yeah.
had that sort of impact, and in a good way. It doesn't feel like that. It feels much more of a kind of indie spirited Maverick kind of film with a lot of heart, a lot of soul.
Smile, you son of a
This is the most redundant section of our that we've ever done. What are we going to rate the film Jaws?
Yeah.
5 logs?
It has to be 5, yeah.
5 logs.
Definitely. There's not many of those films.
There's definitely not. It kind of feels to me like similar to The Exorcist, I think. It's like a film of its own kind.
Mm.
It is a horror film on the surface, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And it's just a one of a kind, and it's just a perfect film.
Yeah. And you can say maybe some things are a bit creaky looking, but the fact of the matter is the story is so powerful.
Yeah.
The acting's so good.
Yeah, the shark gets a lot of abuse, I suppose, in terms of how fake it looks.
Shark still looks fake.
I think a lot of the time it looks perfectly fine to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it jumps on the boat and eats Quint, it's maybe not the most believable, but it's a very powerful scene.
They
at the
sell
same
it
time.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 years down the line, watching it the other night, I could still buy into it. So I think,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
it.
if it was a CGI shark, you'd be saying that looks fake.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Deep Blue Sea. Like, I haven't seen it for a while, but I bet that doesn't hold up, like, in terms of its effects.
Yeah.
5 logs for Jaws.
Yeah.
What a shocker.
You can fit it in his mouth.
Okay, so that's our thoughts on Jaws, and we don't care if you don't agree with us because we're right about this one.
Absolutely.
And join us for the next episode. We'll see you then.
See ya.